Well, I'm inside Burghfield Squash Club now, and as you can hear behind me, training is well underway. The hot heat outside has not stopped the juniors from turning up in force. I'm here to speak to the chairman, Richard May. So, Richard, what's the history of the club?
The squash club was built in about 1977 by Reading Civil Service Club as a facility for civil service locally play. At that time squash was very big, so it was one of lots of clubs locally. Changed over to being a locally run Burghfield Community Sports Club around about 2009. But the squash club effectively carried on as it was with many of the same members. The difference now is that anybody can join the club.
What's the club structure like?
We've got 2 courts and we run 2 adult senior teams. Squash is mixed, so the teams are both men and ladies. In the Berkshire County League, we have a business league team that plays out of here, and we have a vets team. A vets in squash is defined as over 45. We've got 110 members. We have the junior section, very big. You'll hear today, and the juniors are training in the background. And they are again split boys and girls, and we don't dictate that. Who turns up and wants to play, effectively.
And obviously squash is an indoor sport, one of the last to return after the pandemic. What was the impact of the pandemic on the club?
We obviously were closed. We also suspended all the memberships. You couldn't be asking people to pay money to something they couldn't come and do. So effectively it was basically nothing was happening here for ages.
Were there any positives that subsequently happened due to the closure of the club?
One thing we do in the pandemic was we took a look at what we had, and we've done a little bit of work on the club. So, we've done some refurbishment work. We've changed our light meters to contactless. Again, that within pandemic in mind. People used to use the light meters with pound coins. That doesn't work anymore because people don't get change. No one uses cash, So they're now contactless. We were one of the first 4 clubs in the country as a squash club to go over to contactless payments for the light meters. We also, on the booking system, that's totally remote as well. So you can be at home and you can look up if the squash club's got anybody booked.
But obviously it must feel amazing to be back. What's the atmosphere for all the members?
Those of us who are brave enough to reappear are absolutely up for it and really want to give it a go. There's a lot of sort of latent nervousness about mixing and playing again. So it's not been gung-ho, it's not as busy as it used to be, but we're getting there. I think, subject to the sort of the expected full release coming up in the near future, I think it'll just build and build.
So what do you think draws people to the sport of squash?
Well, if you're a squash player, there's a lot of pleasure out of bashing a little green ball up and down a wall and around a court and having a run around. And it's something you can do. It doesn't take that long. It's a good workout and it's also quite enjoyable. There's a lot to it once you get going, and an awful lot more to get good at it, and people can.
After the junior session was finished, I was fortunate enough to speak to Richard's son Gareth, who is a level 3 coach and helps out with the development side of the club, while also representing the club competitively. Gareth, for you as a coach of the juniors, what does it feel like to be back and to see players that perhaps you haven't seen for so long?
Yeah, it's great. It's brilliant to be back. Just so nice to have that normality of coming down on Sunday morning, seeing the kids running around, hitting the ball, and enjoying it, making loads of noise and just generally having a good time hitting squash balls again.
And what's been the impact of the closure of the club on the juniors?
A lot of them recognise how much they definitely want to come back. We had one person not come back from the people that were coming pre-lockdown. In terms of their performance, most of them it's completely stopped their improvement, which is a real shame. A lot of them have grown, half a foot or a few inches, and it just helps to hit the ball a little bit harder, and in squash if you can get it to the back, it's really, really good. But in terms of match play, and for us generally as a club, it's been a bit of a shame because we started in 2018 and then we built from 2 kids that are still in there now to 18 to 20 across the Sunday, and then obviously the pandemic stopped and then we were a bit worried.
And finally, how would you describe the club as a whole?
I'd say that we are very welcoming just to anyone of any ability who just wants to have a go, come down and enjoy it. We will find a group and we will give you an opportunity to hit the ball and also just generally have a nice time and have some fun playing squash.
Well, the club have very kindly lent me a racket to have a little hit with some of their up-and-coming juniors. And I've been on the court for about 5 minutes, and I'm exhausted. So this is Maria Sapsinos signing off from one of the courts at Burghfield Squash Club.